Hey guys, so today I am going to introduce you to Sandra Cisneros. She is an author and we're going to read one of her stories today. But before we start reading, I want you to know a little bit about her. This is a picture of her. And Sandra Cisneros is a poet, a short story writer, novelist, essayist, and performer, and artist whose work explores the lives of the working class. Her numerous awards include NEA fellowships in both poetry and fiction, the Texas Medal of Arts, a MacArthur Fellowship, several honorary doctorates, and a national and international book awards, including Chicago's Fifth Star Award, the Penn Center USA Literary Award, the Fairfax Prize, and the National Medal of the Arts, awarded to her by President Obama in 2016. Most recently, she received the Ford Foundation's Art of Change Fellowship, was recognized among the Frederick Douglass 200, and won the Penn Nabokov Award for International Literature. Her classic coming-of-age novel, The House on Mango Street, has sold over 6 million copies and has been translated into over 20 languages and is required reading in elementary, high school, and universities across the nation. Okay, so there's just a little bit of info about her. So the story that we're going to be reading today is called My Purple House. Color is a Language and a History by Sandra Cisneros. So Sandra Cisneros actually used to live in San Antonio. She lived here for quite a while. I think now she lives in Mexico, but she did live here for some time. Okay, so look at her purple house there. So here's the introduction. In the 1690s, Spain settled the area that is now known as Texas. In 1718, San Antonio was established as a midway point to the missions of East Texas. In 1749, Spain settled the area we now call the Rio Grande Valley. Thus was born the Tejano, a Texan of Mexican heritage. My life is such a telenovela. One day I painted my house Tejano colors. The next day, my house is in all the news, cars swarming by, families having their photos taken in front of my purple casita as if it were the Alamo. The neighbors put up an iced tea stand and made $10. All this happened because I chose to live where I do. I live in San Antonio because I'm not a minority here. I live in the King William neighborhood because I love old houses. Since my neighborhood is historic, certain code restrictions apply. Any house alteration plans must be approved by the Historic Design and Review Committee. This is to preserve the neighborhood's historic character, and that's fine by me. Because I thought I had permission, I gave the go-ahead to have my house painted colors I considered regional, but as it turns out, they hadn't been approved. However, I was given the chance to prove them historically appropriate, so I did my research, and what I found is this: we don't exist. My history is made up of a community whose homes were so poor and unimportant as to be considered unworthy of historic preservation. No famous architect designed the houses of the Tejanos, and there are no books in the San Antonio Conservation Society library about houses of the working class community. No photos romanticizing their poverty, no ladies' auxiliary working toward preserving their presence. Their homes are gone. Their history is invisible. The few historic homes that survived have access cut off by freeways because city planners did not judge them important. Our history is in the neighborhoods like the famous Lerito Barrio, heart of the old Tejano community, and just a block from City Hall. It proved so historically valuable, it was demolished and converted into a jail, parking lot, and downtown police station, with only the casa of Tejano statesman Jose Angel Navarro. As evidence, Lerito was ever there. Our past is present only in churches or missions, glorifying a Spanish colonial past. But I'm not talking about the Spaniards here. My question is, where is the visual record of the Tejanos? The issue is bigger than my house. The issue is about historical inclusion. I want to paint my house a traditional color, but I don't think it unreasonable to include the traditions of Los Tejanos who had a great deal to do with creating the city of San Antonio we know today. Frankly, I don't understand what all the fuss is about. I thought I had painted my house a historic color. Purple is historic to us. It goes back 1,000 years or so to the pyramids. It is also present in the Nahua Codices, book of the Aztecs, as is turquoise, the color I use for my house trim. The former color signifying royalty, the latter water and rain. But we are a people sin documentos. We don't have papers. Our books were burned in the conquest, and ever since we have learned to keep quiet, to keep our history to ourselves, to keep it alive generation to generation by word of mouth. Perhaps because we feared it would be taken away from us again. Too late. It has been taken away. In San Antonio, when we say historic preservation, we don't mean everybody's history, even though the Historic Review Office is paid for by everybody's taxes. When they asked me to prove my colors historically appropriate to King William, they didn't mean Tejano colors. But I'm certain Tejanos lived in this neighborhood too. Color is a language. In essence, I am being asked to translate this language. For some who enter my home, these colors need no translation. However, why am I translating to the historical professionals? If they're not visually bilingual, what are they doing holding a historical post in a city with San Antonio's demographics? Color is a story. It tells the history of a people. We don't have beautiful showcase houses that tell the stories of the class of people I come from, but our inheritance is our sense of color. It has withstood conquest, plagues, genocide, hatred, defeat. Our colors have survived. That is why you all love fiestas so much, because we know how to have a good time. We know how to laugh. We know a color like bougainvillea pink is important because it will lift your spirits and make your heart pirouette. We have a tradition of bright colors. Dr. Daniel Ariola of Texas A&M University has written that in a survey of 1,065 houses in a Mexican American district in San Antonio, 50% showed evidence of brightly painted exteriors, even if only evidenced in the bright trim. From the Arab influence of elaborate paint exteriors carried over to the Iberian Peninsula, as to use as as well to the use of intense pigment in the pre-Columbian structures, our people have always decorated their exterior walls brightly. In some pre-Columbian centers, there is not only evidence of a love of color, but a love of vivid visual effects. In Teotihuacan, it is the drama of red contrasted with blue. The passion for color is seen even now in our buildings on both sides of the border. Mango yellow, papaya orange, Frida Kahlo cobalt, Rufino Tamayo periwinkle, Rosa Mexicana, and yes, even enchilada red. King William architecture has been influenced by European, Greek Revival, Victorian, and neoclassical styles. Why is it so difficult to concede a Mexican influence, especially when so many people of Mexican descent live in the city? This issue is not about personal taste, but about historical context. It belongs not only to the architecturally elite, but also to Los Tejanos, as well as the Irish, French, Native American, and yes, even the poor. History belongs to us all. My purple house colors are not deemed historically appropriate because there's no evidence or documentation these colors were ever used in King William. But if the HDRC is true to its word, oral testimony should count as evidence. I'm inviting the community to assist me. I invite Brackenridge High School especially, which I'm told adopted my purple house because it's their school color. So why not an oral history project that they could get credit for? Why not a documentation of our ancestors? It's about time we had our history count on paper.